Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Immense Networks, Cloud IT Management. Sharief, Ishaq talking Saints OTAs coming up in 30 minutes. We're going to spend some time diving into the numbers. I do this every year. Last year I did it from my Omaha hotel room. Now I'm doing it before they throw a single NCAA postseason pitch. But those are the breaks in life, right? But I did it for the pitching, and I did it for the offense, and I want to dive into both of them. And I'll start on the negative. We'll build towards more positive with the pitching. But man, there are some statistics here, y'all, that are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. LSU threw 90 wild pitches this year. Kentucky was second worst in the league with 62. That's a 28 pitch difference. Kentucky was 15th, and they were 28 better than LSU. 13th in the SEC, which is bad. If I told you you're going to throw the 13th most pitches, the 13th fewest, so almost the most wild pitches in the league, you'll be 13th in the league. That's a terrible spot to be in. They threw 45. That's half of LSU's 90. 13th in the SEC was half of LSU. LSU threw 53 wild pitches in 30 league games. 13th in the SEC through 25. That's less than half. So I did the big numbers here. You had 289 walks issued on the season. I'm not asking you to do the math. I'll do it for you, but I'm just putting these numbers out there. You threw 90 wild pitches, and I'll just toss in the 13 pass balls you threw because they were, not caught by the guys trying to catch it and block pass wild pitches. That is 392 for the season. Free bases, walks, wild pitches, pass balls. You divide that by 58 games. LSU was just handing out walks, wild pitches. Oh, I didn't even do hit by pitches. And I got the stats right here, so I can do that too. See how many times they hit batters. 79 more. Oh, man, this number is about to get even worse. I forgot to do it, so let me do it. 392 plus 79. 471 is my new number over 58 games. 8.1 free bases a game. 8.1 free bases per game. 8.1. That is one almost every inning. Considering you didn't pitch the ninth inning on the road almost ever. You didn't pitch it you did once in Starkville. I shouldn't say that. You did once in Starkville. You didn't in Athens, because you got 10 run. You didn't in Ole Miss. You got 10 run in one of those and lost all three. You weren't pitching the ninth inning on the road very often. That is one a game. One an inning. Every inning, you're giving away walk, hit batsman, pass ball, wild pitch. 8.1 per game. That is truly remarkable. Now, I looked at the numbers season long for Kason Evans and William Schmidt, and I wanted to just eyeball them with Anderson and Ianson. I know that's not completely fair to them. Anderson and Ianson would make a lot of duos look bad. They would have dwarfed Lang and Poche at least 2 of those years. And those two guys, Poche is the winningest pitcher ever, and Lang went 13-0 his freshman year and was the Friday guy for 3 years. And Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson were phenomenal. But you look at the numbers. William Schmidt's season-long ERA was 4.22. That's a run higher than Anderson and a run and a half higher than Ianson. Evans was 5.93, a 5.93 ERA for the season. That's a jump for Kason Evans of 2.05 to 5.93. That's just hard to put together. And it wasn't the opponent batting averages that got him. Like Schmidt allowed opponents to hit 224. Ianson was 218. That's 6 points. That's not that big a difference. Kason Evans, 231 opposing batting average. Anderson's was 20 points better, but Evans's was only 13 points better. It's not like they were getting teed off on. The walk numbers were way, way, way too high. Both Evans and Schmidt walked 31, and they threw right about 62 innings. Evans was 60, Schmidt was 64, but just think about this. They both walked 31 in about 62 innings, about half a walk an inning. Anderson had 35 walks in 119 innings. He doubled them in innings. Now, you get all of June for Anderson. You understand that, and they didn't get that opportunity, and both guys missed starts. Schmidt missed the last of the regular season and the SEC tournament. Anderson pitched in both of those last year, and they obviously pitched through the College World Series, but you're talking about double the innings, and the walks only went up by 4. Ianson, 152 strikeouts, 38 walks in 108 innings. The walk numbers for Schmidt and Evans were just astronomically high, and that's what got them. They did strike guys out. They did limit opponent batting average, but they walked too many guys. That's why their ERAs are 2 points higher than Anderson and Ianson. That was a big takeaway for me. You look at the bullpen, other than Cooper Moore, who's just started in the non-conference, which is as good as you can do with your ERA, no one on the staff had an ERA better than 4.18. Nobody. 4.18. Nobody. Fontenot was 4.18. Sheeran 4.78. Cowan 5.32. Garcia almost 6. Guidry 6.5. Paz over 9. Last year, out of the bullpen, Kason Evans and Zach Cowan had ERAs under 3. The best LSU had this year was Grant Fontenot at 4.18. They just didn't have anybody that they could go to and feel like they could hold anybody down. LSU held SEC opponents to three or less runs 5 times. 3 or less 5 times. 3 of those 5 came against South Carolina. So that means in the other 27 games, 27 league games that you didn't play South Carolina, you held opponents to 3 or less twice. 2 out of 27. Last year, they did it 14 out of 30. You went from half, 14 out of 30, to basically 2 out of 27 against everybody at South Carolina. Like, that is such an unbelievable drop-off that it's just hard to fathom. How everyone in the bullpen and your starting rotation could just level off or drop off. That has to be a perfect storm. Nate Yeskie couldn't have possibly coached the guys he did with Holman, Jump, Herring, Christian Little, all improving significantly. Parlay that into Anderson, Ianson being way better than they were, and Cowan doing a great job, and Evans doing a great job. Rizzi did a good job last year. And then all of a sudden, you show up, and you go from holding SEC opponents to 3 or less. Did a 2 out of 27 this year after doing it 14 of 30 the year before. I just have a hard time thinking this wasn't just an all-time bad fortune situation. And I know that no one wants to hear me say that because everyone just feels a lot better saying fire the coach. But his track record suggests this is not the norm. And the insane amount of wild pitches, 90 of them, and issuing 8 bases free every single game, it just feels like a group of guys that just failed to execute time and time and time and time again. I don't think Nate Yeskie made significant adjustments that brought Kason Evans from a 2.05 ERA to a 6 ERA. Like, what did he do to Zach Cowan to drop him from 2.5 to 5.5? 3 runs worse. What could he have done? I just think it was all-time clunker. And I think they'll be a lot better next year. They just need new guys. They need to go get new guys. Because the guys they put out there this past year, the ERAs, the wild pitches, the walk totals, the inability to ever go out there and limit another team. I'm not asking for you to shut them out. 3 or less is not that high a bar to clear. But LSU couldn't ever do it. And you're asking your offense to go out there and get 9 to try to win a game. It ain't happening. Goodness gracious, that pitching staff, y'all, was just not good. They got a lot of work to do moving into next year with that group of guys, and they're going to need a new group of guys in a lot of instances. There was some good on the offense, though. Why don't I get to that when we come back?
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First, I'll tell you about Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. Customer service has really separated the Fabry family and their family of dealerships. 3 locations, 5 brands for a long time in our town. 35 years they've been at this. And it's because they take care of you. And you know that. And that's why you'll take that short drive to St. Francis Phillip Highway 61 to shop. Now, we live in a clicks world. We know that. So you can go to FabryChevrolet.com. The entire inventory is right there. They've got new vehicles. You're looking for a new Yukon, new Denali, they got it. Looking for a new Chevy Silverado, it's on the lot, it's online. Maybe it's a certified pre-owned vehicle you're looking for. They've got those as well. If you're looking for an SUV to take the family to the beach or to grandparents' house or wherever you go for your family vacation, they've got them. Check out the website, FabryChevrolet.com. And you can go see them on Highway 61 in St. Francisville and experience that customer service difference. It's Fabry Chevrolet, online at FabryChevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
About Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running the shop for 40 years down there, down the bayou, and they know what it's like to live in this part of the world. And they know how important what they do is keeping things running around here when the power goes out. That's where you get your Generac home standby generator from the good folks at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. You know storm season just about here. So you want to make sure you've got that generator installed. You have the peace of mind to know that storm's not going to run your power out. Maybe that's at home. Maybe that's your business. If you're at a place of work where you can't have your building inoperable because you don't have power, well, get the generator put in. Boudreaux's Electrical is happy to help you do that. Justin or somebody great on their team will come out, survey the situation. They'll get you a quote really quickly, and then you can move forward with that Generac home standby generator, and you get the service that comes with it, which means monitoring it 24/7 and making sure there's no mechanical issue so that when your power goes out, the generator comes on, and you don't miss a beat. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services. You can give them a call. Same phone number that they've had since they opened shop 40-plus years ago. So you can give them a call at 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or the Gonzales location, 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Okay, let's do some offensive statistics here. These will get out of whack as other teams play NCAA tournament games, so I wanted to take the snapshot immediately when everybody was kind of on level footing with the conference tournament being in the rearview mirror. LSU finished 5th in the SEC in runs per game. They scored 7.6 runs per game. That was 5th in offense. If you had told me in February that LSU would finish 5th in runs scored in the league, 3rd in walks, 7th in on base, 8th in home runs, 8th in batting average, I would have said, okay, that's not great. That doesn't sound like a top 8 national seed, but I think they'll pitch it okay. I think Evans is good. I think Schmidt is turning a corner. Cooper Moore we like, and they've got Cowan back there. They've got options. They got some guys that look to be dominant style closers with Fontenot and Sheeran. And this is just, I know what I was thinking in February. It's not that long in the rearview mirror. I would have thought, okay, I understand these numbers aren't great. They didn't hit with the power that maybe I thought they would. Maybe you didn't get a jump from Curiel or you didn't get a jump from Brown. You're only 8th in home runs. You're 5th in runs per game. That's enough to win enough games to potentially be a host, be a tournament team. But the pitching was so bad that 5th in the league in runs per game got you 3rd to last in the league. LSU scored at least 7 runs in 17 of 30 SEC games. At least 7. That's a big lick. 17 of 30 league games. That's more than half. And LSU lost 9 of the 17 where they scored at least 7 runs. 9 losses scoring 7+ in 30 games is preposterous. Preposterous. But that's what it was. I mean, LSU lost 3 in Starkville scoring 8 runs. It was 9 times scoring 7+. That is just really difficult to swallow. Now, I'm not trying to pin this on any specific player, but I've got the numbers in front of me. Zach York, Braden Simpson, Seth Dardar, Trent Caraway, the 4 guys that you brought in out of the portal to help you offensively, combined for the season to hit 247 with 14 home runs. 247 with 14 home runs between 4 players. Now, keep in mind, those 4 guys who combined for 14 home runs this year hit 60 last year. 60. They hit 14 this year. That's what Jay Johnson was talking about when he said we chased power. Now, they didn't play as much this year as they did last year, so that's part of it, but it just didn't translate. Zach York did a pretty good job of getting on base. He was one of 4 LSU players to walk 30 times, and he didn't even start really the last month, and he still walked 30 times. His on-base percentage was .411. Jake Brown's was .404. Zach York had a better on-base percentage than Jake Brown, which I would have not have guessed. But he didn't produce an extra base hit in SEC play. York did not have one SEC extra base hit, which makes life tough. I thought when York hit that home run in Jacksonville to right center, I was like, man, this guy's going to be a force up there at the top. Every pitcher, especially the right-handers, are going to have to come out and then right at the top face Milam, right at the top face Curiel, right at the top face York, right at the top face Jake Brown. Those left-handed bats can keep coming and coming and coming, and it just did not happen. What did was Cade Arambidi breaking out. 343 SEC batting average for Cade Arambidi. 343 he hit in the league. Finished the entire season with 18 home runs. He was spectacular. He's going to be preseason All-American at catcher by a lot of different outlets. He's on his way to being a star, and really already is. Speaking of that, Mason Braun was great. You look at Braun, he led the team with 35 walks, and he only started 37 of the 58 games. So started just over half the games and led the team with 35 walks. He was also hit by 8 pitches. That was 4 off the team lead. I'm not sure if he's going to hit leadoff the rest of his career at LSU. They obviously liked him there on this team, but he certainly did a really good job of getting on base, and I thought that was awesome for Mason Braun. I did this last week, but just another hat tip to Derek Curiel. 82 hits. That was 16 more than the closest Tiger on this team. He hit 353, led the team in doubles with 18, led the team in steals with 13, played great center field defense. He was fantastic. I don't expect him, obviously, back at LSU next year. He should be a first-round pick based on the defense he played, his frame, and then the consistent bat-to-ball production here at LSU. But he was fantastic this year. The offense was good more often than it wasn't. There were bad weekends. LSU scored 5 total runs in the last 2 games of the Oklahoma series, lost them both. They scored 5 total runs in the first 2 games in Oxford. That wasn't good enough. They had 2 and 2 in the first 2 A&M games. That wasn't good enough. But on the whole, by the end of the year, you had a solid offense, and it would have been better if Jake Brown, Chris Stanfield, and Omar Cerna were healthy. Stanfield hit 228 on the season. He just wasn't himself. But you hit some homers, you drew walks, you scored enough runs more often than you didn't, and you just didn't get any help from the pitching staff. And that's really where I'll leave this season. We have to talk about the portal. We have to talk about draft decisions. Those don't come. The draft decisions don't come for another 6 weeks. The draft is a long, long, long way away. When we start doing NFL draft talk in late January, it's well, keep in mind, it's a long way away. The draft is a long way away right now. So you've got to take this season, compartmentalize it, look at the portal, and we'll get to what the high school signees and then what Curiel and Brown and Milam and those guys end up doing. The other guys that are draft eligible, Maverick Rizzi, John Pearson, Trent Caraway. Like, there will be some decisions made, and guys will figure out what they're doing as far as the portal goes. And the draft's a long way away. So it's hard for me. I can't give you any thoughts on the high school signing class. I wrote about this at LouisianaSports.net because I'm doing an overview of the team that we just watched, and everybody's going, what about the signing class? Like, what about next year's team? We're a long way from that. Like, you're going to start to get portal commitments in the next 5 days, but the high school guys are not going to hear their name called or not hear their name called for another 6 weeks. So we got a long way before we're surveying next year's team. That's why we're supposed to be watching this year's team in the box this weekend. It's just, it's too early to get into all that stuff. But I've got some thoughts on last year's team. I gave them to you there, and they're right there on LouisianaSports.net as well. And what a bummer of a year, man. That was not what you look for in an LSU baseball team. Hopefully Jay Johnson hard at work in the transfer portal, which he will be. He said in his post-game press conference in Hoover, I don't think I'll watch a lot of NCAA baseball tournament. My whole life's built around it, but I can't watch it. I'm confident that I will be able to watch it and enjoy it. Now, I won't enjoy it if it's like 2 years ago and every single team that I did not want to win was just winning every single day in Omaha, and we ended up with Tennessee and A&M, the two teams I hated the worst that year in Omaha. I didn't like that, but I like the event. I'm not going to have that big pit in my stomach. It turns out the real pain is when the season has a lot of promise and ends quickly. It's when Houston comes back and beats you twice in the regional. It's when you get your heart broken in Chapel Hill a couple years ago. It's when Stony Brook beats you in the Super. Coastal hits a bunch of homers off Lang and beats you in the Super. That's the one where it's hard for me the next day to get excited about college baseball because you felt like LSU had something taken from them. Not now. We've known for a month that this team was not going to the NCAA tournament. And so now I think you put that to bed, and I'm excited to see what emerges. I'm hopeful that it's an ACC or Big Ten team, maybe Big 12 squad. But I'll be excited. I'll be watching, and we'll have it on in here on Friday when we do the show. I'm looking forward to a little bit of baseball watching over the next 3 weeks. Let's hope that Georgia Tech gets a title. We'll come back, talk some Saints OTAs with Sharief Ishaq. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Auction wants to remind you that May is Stroke Awareness Month, and they give you the acronym Be Fast. B-E, balance and eyes. Fast, F-A-S-T, face, arms, speech, time. Balance, the person's having trouble maintaining balance. Pay attention to that. Eyes, if the person's vision's affected or they're deviated to one side, be on the lookout. F, does one side of the face droop or is it numb? Arms, A, is one arm weak or numb? Is speech slurred? That's S. And then time. If a person shows any of these symptoms over time, even if the symptoms go away, you need to be aware of that. So balance, eyes, face, arms, speech, and time. There are some preventative measures that you can take for strokes. Limit alcohol use or avoid it. Manage cholesterol levels. Get regular exercise. Follow a healthy diet. May is Stroke Awareness Month. Be fast. That's from our friends at Oxford.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management, immense.net, immense.net. Happy to help you out with all your IT needs, immense.net. Let's talk some Saints OTA. Sharief Ishaq with us from WDSU in New Orleans. Sharief, how we doing?
Good. Hope you're doing well as well.
I am doing well. A lot of the internet sleuths are out there, and they're thinking that there's something suspicious about Alvin Kamara doing the Savannah Bananas in Knoxville and the Saints not using it for any social media content. Are you catching a conspiracy theory on this?
It is a little, interesting because they, Tyler Shuck got his love. I know it's in New Orleans, but there's nothing from Saints social media. If you want to be a conspiracy, but once again, I think the whole decision is going to be in Alvin Kamara's hands if he comes back or not.
What do you think about this Saints running back room competition? I know that you sign a running back to a deal with $12 million and a guy that's come off 3,000 or 4,000 yard seasons that he's going to be the lead dog. But you think that Etienne is going to command the vast majority of the carries, or are there going to be folks that chip into that workload to try to keep him fresh?
I think it's going to be a vast majority with some chipping in. I don't think his workload is going to be as heavy as it was in Jacksonville. I think it'll be a little less than his workload there, and they've got to, man. They've got to find a way to keep him fresh, man. They cannot let him go out there and do what he did with Jacksonville. I know he was healthy pretty much most of his career, not all of it. I know he dealt with a knee in one of the seasons, but you gotta protect your guy. You gotta protect your investment. So I think that you're going to see, some guys behind him have to take some of that workload off of his shoulders.
Devin Neal is in that mix, obviously. Kendre Miller in that mix, obviously. And then we saw the late emergence last year from Audric Estime. Like, how do you feel that whole race shakes out? I realize Kamara is going to throw his hat in the ring there, we imagine, at some point, too.
I mean, you got to throw Ty Chandler in there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you got so many guys. I mean, that's a position where, the Saints desperately needed some healthy bodies over the last few years and didn't have it. So I think that right now, the way it shakes out, it's Devin Neal, number 2. Let's just say Devin Neal and Alvin Kamara, 2, 3, in that order. And then somebody has to fill that 4 slot, whether it's Estime or Kendrick Miller or Ty Chandler. I know Ty Chandler is a good return guy, but that is also going to fall on the shoulders of Marion Brown. So it's a good thing to have a lot of players at these positions where they were struggling with health. I just can't wait to see how it shakes out, Hunt, because who knows what if Estime passes most of these guys up and he climbed up the depth chart because of what he did last year. So I'm expecting some solid depth there this season.
Is Kendre Miller the most talented of that group, or is he just the guy that you say that because you haven't seen him do very much?
I would say, Hunt, he's the guy that has the most potential in that group. Potential is a dangerous word, but he just can't stay healthy, Hunt. I mean, point blank, he cannot stay healthy. Best ability is availability. I know it's a cliche I say it a lot on your show, but if he can't stay on the field, it's hard to tell if he's the best one of the bunch behind Achane. It's so hard to tell. He has that potential and that talent, but he's just never on the field. And right now, I kind of like Devin Neal. I truly like Devin Neal a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's reason to. He's a leading rusher in the history of Kansas football. He's a very productive college player and a guy that a lot of people liked in the preseason last year. And then there were injuries that obviously happened, and that's been the issue with the Saints at running back outside of really Kamara, and he's been banged up the last couple of years. But like with this group, like, do you feel like they've got a chance to be a top half of the NFL rushing attack?
Oof, that's a tough one to answer. And right now, I can't say yes. I've got to be honest with you. I can't say yes because you're looking at one star and then a bunch of unknowns.
Kamara's a known. We just don't know if he's going to be on the team.
Yeah, he's a known, and even if he's on the team at 31 years old, Hunt, I mean,
okay.
If you look at his numbers since 2020, it's a steady decline, and it's a sharp decline, especially since 2020, 2021. So, no, right now I can't say. I got to say no right now, Hunt. I mean, it's just one guy and a bunch of unknowns in an aging Alvin Kamara.
What are storylines from OTAs that you're looking forward to?
I want to see if Alvin Kamara shows up to any of the OTAs over the next 3 weeks. That's my number one, or if something happens. I'm just going to keep it in terms of guys who are on contract. Obviously, we know we're waiting to hear from Cam. I want to see how the receivers do with Tyler Shuck. I want to see how Tyson and the rest of the rookies gel with Devon Bailey and Chris Olave and Shuck just all together. I just want to see how it works out, how they line up with sets they get in. I know we're probably not going to see much of that in OTAs, maybe a little bit more in minicamp, but I do want to see that. I want to see how it looks because there's a lot of speed in the field, Hunt. I want to see how they can utilize those guys all together.
And there, no doubt, they've increased the weapon load for Tyler Shuck, and now the expectation level, I think, ratchets up on him a little bit. Do you expect to see him looking a little bit different as far as his command of the team than the last time that you saw him in this position?
Oh, of course. You'd expect him to be a little bit more comfortable in Kellen's system, and you give him a little bit more protection along the offensive line. You give him more weapons. I think you're going to see a lot more confidence in him, comfortability, and command of that offense. And I think you'll see that continue as the year goes out. and the growth will continue within that offense because of him and because of Kellen Moore.
When we feel about Cam, I got to ask you every week.
I still feel that the ball's in his court. I think that the offer's there. I think that they are going to see if he takes it. I think this is his best offer, and I know he says what he says on Twitter about certain things and on podcasts, but I think deep down inside, I think he'd like to just complete the legacy in New Orleans. I just don't want to see. I don't think he wants to see himself go finish with another team, whether if it's Chicago, the Rams, or somebody else who's a contender. I just think why not for him finish where he started.
It would be really cool if he did come back and found a role, because obviously he's a big piece to what they're trying to do in the locker room. But we shall see OTAs cranking up there for the black and gold. Sharief Ishaq will be covering it for WDSU down in New Orleans. All right, I know the Pels have had meetings with the media now. Now I know that you heard from Pels' new coach about Zion Williamson. How do you feel that transition is going to this point?
I think that, Jamal Mosley had a lot of good things to say in terms of Zion Williamson. He still has pretty much some untapped potential, still hasn't scratched the surface. That's exactly what Jamal Mosley said. I can't wait to see how he uses them. He's a defensive-minded head coach. They were top 3 in defensive rating in 2 of the last 3 seasons, but that's where the Pelicans fell short is their defense. Zion struggles on defense. So I'm interested to see how he gets Zion's defense at least a little bit better, because he's struggled throughout his career playing defense. But some of the takeaways I took is accountability and unapologetically physical. That's how he wants to play, and that's what they did in Orlando. He stepped in and rebuilt the franchise there, but he doesn't have to rebuild one here, even though the last 2 years would say differently. But he feels like they're on a cusp, more of a rebuild. I'm interested to see how he builds his coaching staff outside of God Shamgod, amazing basketball name.
Yes.
Other than that, man, they've got to add some three-point shooting, consistent three-point shooting. Other than their defense, three-point shooting was a massive issue last year.
No doubt about that. Sharief Ishaq's all over it with the Pels and the Saints down in New Orleans. He's covering for WDSU. He's with us on Tuesdays. Thanks, man.
All right, I'll see you next Tuesday.
He is Sharief Ishaq in New Orleans. Speaking of basketball, get to a little bit of news before we take our last break of the show. Alan Graves has announced that he has every intention of staying in the NBA draft. He's in the transfer portal, was out at Santa Clara from right down here in South Louisiana, played at Ponchatoula, and was an incredible player as a freshman for Santa Clara, and a guy that it appeared was down to LSU, Duke in the NBA. And now it appears after he goes to the Combine and works out, where he did say entering the Combine, hey, if I do work out, and I would prefer to become an NBA player next year than to play in college again, which is fine to say. I think there are a lot of kids that would say that. But obviously there was a backup plan with LSU and Duke. Folks thought LSU was probably the landing point, but he's now telling folks that he's staying in the NBA draft, and the Combine performance made it likely that he's a top 20 pick in the NBA draft. That does come with a nice little chunk of change, and it comes to guaranteed roster spots. So those are good things to have. And so it sounds like one of the guys that Will Wade has targeted is not going to end up at LSU. And that was one that you weren't going to have to haggle over eligibility, because Graves just a true transfer who was a freshman last year. Just all the eligibility in the world. You could want not necessarily 4 years of European basketball or 1 year and some change in the G League or all these issues that LSU's probably going to run into trying to put this roster together. Graves is one of the traditional ones, and obviously that would have been a really nice get for the Tigers, but it did not appear to work out, as he has told NBA reporters that he's looking forward to heading to the NBA. So bummer for Will Wade, who's going to continue to try to fill this thing out. I am a little bit concerned about the numbers if there are some players deemed illegal. You are a little bit short on numbers, and Will Wade has said, we're going to pay 7 or 8 guys. Well, if 2 of the guys you decide to pay are ineligible, and now you've only paid 5 guys, and you're trying to fill the rest of the roster out, which is 7 more beyond the 5, that's not ideal. Now, Will knows a lot more about where they are with a lot of different people and what kind of money they've got and who's still on the board and all that kind of stuff, and I don't have access to that. So I trust that he's in control of it. I'm just saying, with that trust, I'm looking at this going, I'm a little uneasy about it. a little uneasy about it because it just doesn't appear that LSU's got the numbers you would want. But again, he told the folks at who was that? John Rothstein, CBS. He's like, well, we're light in terms of what you know. So we'll see what we find out. We'll wait at LSU here as we move forward in this offseason of college basketball. That's it for this segment. That's almost it for our show. We'll take one more time out. We'll come back, close things out on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. SwingEasyGCBR.com. On Segan at Perkins. We are close to announcing our 2 winners that are going to compete for a spot in the Summer Golf League over there at Swing Easy. They're going to do a 2-man scramble league that's going to play once a week. If that interests you, you want to check it out, go by and see them at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. They're on Segan at Perkins in the shopping mall. You can't miss it to the right. It's an awesome spot to go hang out, go hit some shots, and now to compete in a league setting on cool courses with scramble mode engaged and maybe some drinks flowing, music blaring. Get the old television cranked up. It felt like we were going to be playing on a simulator all weekend, but it turns out I was able to play outside. If you want to go check out Swing Easy when the weather's not so good, you can also do that as well. They're online at SwingEasyGCBR.com. Go by and see them on Segan at Perkins. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
A shout out to the folks over at Immense. They're online at immense.net, immense.net. They are not just an IT company in the way that most of us who aren't in IT think about it. It's not like, oh, well, this computer's frozen. Like, can you fix this? They are a managed service provider. They essentially work for you without being on your payroll. Instead of calling someone when it breaks, they're watching your systems before anything goes wrong. You got one flat monthly cost that replaces those unpredictable repair costs, those sudden surprise emergencies. They've been doing this in Baton Rouge for 20 years. It's not a national call center. It's local. They know the market. And if you run a business and don't have somebody proactively, not reactively, proactively managing your technology, you're one bad day away from a very expensive problem. And Immense wants to make sure that you're taken care of in that way. So if that sounds appealing, or you've got an IT department that is overwhelmed or underperforming, Immense is not necessarily looking to take over. They're looking to help, and they can do that for you. They're online at immense.net. It's immense.net. All right, I guess one order of business left. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, with the Cleveland Cavaliers getting eliminated yesterday, there's truly in question that there might be a homecoming with LeBron James, but it's not going to be cheap. So according to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, he discussed today that the Cavs, they would like to sign LeBron James, but only for $3 million. The problem is LeBron...
He's made that a quarter for like 20 years.
Oh, no. So the problem is LeBron made $54 million this year. And Brian Windhorst reported that, to his knowledge, LeBron is not prepared to take any type of pay cut. So, taking a $51 million pay cut, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. Now, LeBron, I believe, is a billionaire.
He's a billionaire.
So, it doesn't really matter.
100%.
If he makes 28 or 3, there's no perceptible change.
At all.
Whatever works for him, but I don't think that's going to work for him.
Yeah, I know. $51 million pay cut. That's a little extreme, to say the least. So, on topic of the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks are back in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. In fact, the entire San Antonio Spurs starting lineup was born after 1999. Huh? So does this mean that the Knicks got to be back, right? Take it or leave it?
Take it. They're back. Look, I have enjoyed seeing the Garden popping.
It's been popping.
That is good for hoops. Like, it's great that Oklahoma City's popping, and it would be cool if Orlando or New Orleans was popping, but there's nothing that's like the Garden. I mean, it's just nothing like that. It's like Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field. It's just a different deal, and so that is good for hoops for sure.
And I'll say this about the Knicks being back, and I guess just the Knicks becoming relevant again, is because all you hear, leading up into the NBA season is about how the Knicks, they're going to do this, and they never do it. So that I'm finally seeing this, all these are Stephen A. Smith gassing them up to no return. Now the Knicks are actually doing this, especially with they say that the small guards are dead in the NBA, and Jalen Brunson is a small guard doing it. It's crazy to see that. Everybody wants these 6'5" guards, and you got a 6'1" guy tearing everybody up. So it's good to see that. So I'm gonna give the Knicks a little bit of credit, even though I don't like the Knicks. So the first major league no-hitter since 2024 happened last night as the Houston Astros no-hit the Texas Rangers, but it was a combined no-hitter. It's Houston's fourth combined no-hitter, with the most famous coming in Game 4 of the 2022 World Series against the Phillies. So should combined no-hitters be celebrated just as solo no-hitters? Take it or leave it?
Leave it. One guy goes 9 innings. That's better than 4 guys covering some outs.
I don't like the combined no-hitters either.
I mean, I think it's a no-hitter, and if you want to take the ball and send it to Cooperstown and pop some champagne in the dugout, I'm not going to yell at you, but it's clearly way more impressive for one guy to go out there, get it done. You just don't see it anymore because starting pitchers get pulled after 4 2/3 just about every day.
So are we ever – that was a good point. Because it feels like every time I'm watching baseball, or I put on a baseball game, the pitcher's only going 5 innings.
That's it.
6 innings.
Can't see the third time through the order. Stats go through the roof. Going to the bullpen.
What is this?
It's analytics. It's the guys from the Ivy League schools that run the departments. That's what Jay Johnson was talking about when he was like, they don't. The managers have some say, but not a lot of say, because
like on Moneyball.
Yeah, the front office is going to tell you when this guy can pitch, when he can't pitch, who he needs to pitch against, how long he needs to be out there. And they're just not going to let you do it. They're not going to let you call the shots because they've got the numbers. So that's the way it goes.
Wow, that's disgusting. So that's it for Take It or Leave It.
That's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Tuesday. Again, hope everybody had a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. It was a great one for the Palmer team up there in Shrevesburg. Got a little golf, got a little pool time, got some food and drink. It was great. Hope that yours was as good as well. Unfortunately, that's the end of the content, because I told y'all when we were signing off Wednesday of last week, I knew I was out on Thursday and Friday. I was like, this is my last in-game show, and I don't have a game to talk about until Labor Day, which is a tough scene. But what do we got? Well, we got NCAA tournament baseball, which we're going to spend a little bit of time on. We got SEC spring meetings, which Kiffin's about to talk here in an hour, and we'll see what he has to say. That's going to be something. You still got Will Wade trying to put a basketball roster together. We'll keep an eye on that. Jay Johnson is going to have his exit meetings this week. Those are probably already done. Now it's about getting into position to get into the transfer portal when it opens on June 1st and be ready to go. You got to host visitors. You got to put a baseball roster together, and we'll certainly see. I'm confident some LSU players will transfer out because that's the way things always go. So we'll keep an eye on LSU baseball reconstruction as well. Football's got to do their recruiting too. And so we'll keep an eye on the high school side of things with LSU football and Lane Kiffin. And that's kind of the framework for the summer to come. We got SEC Media Days coming up in July. But for us, June is going to be about basketball roster, baseball roster, football recruiting, and then whatever anybody says. We don't have to quite get into list season, which is kind of what happens in August. This guy said this is that. Yeah, but we've got the Saints OTAs coming up. We'll handle that for sure. And we're still a long way away from training camp. So it is the slowest time of the year. And when your baseball team, they went 4 more weeks on us from here. So we've got to shift up the agenda. And we appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. We'll be with you every step of the way in LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson covering things incredibly well from the Saints side of things. We've got some stories up, statistically speaking. I've got breakdowns of LSU's basketball transfer portal guys that are on my portal profile. And tomorrow I've got to, on this show, face the music on my preseason projections. I gave 3 or 4 or 5, I can't remember because I haven't looked at them, bold predictions. And then we're going to have to get into that on the show. So we'll see how that all shakes out. And I'll give you my thoughts when we get to it. So we'll look forward to getting into that. If we missed any of our show today, catch it on demand wherever you have your sound. First segment today, I just kind of talked about what went wrong for LSU baseball. Got into some LSU hoops with Glenn West. We did a little bit of discussion about the SEC spring meetings and what guys were saying. There's a lot being talked about, and the college football playoff and expansion is a real talking point over there in Destin. Also had Sharief Ishaq talking Saints and some thoughts on LSU hitting and pitching from the year that went by. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. Hunt Palmer Show, wherever you find your sound. Matt's out today. Muso's going to drive you home next. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com. Lifetimeroofingla.com is that website. Look, I think it's generally a good idea to have your roof checked out before storm season, right? You want to make sure that you're in the best position you can be to protect your biggest investment for most people. It's your house and the people under that roof. Pretty important. So Lifetime Roofing's happy to come in and do an inspection. Maybe you need a repair before storm season. Maybe you need a new roof before storm season. Maybe it's just a tune-up. They can do that for you and make sure that you're in the best position you can be for storm season. So if that's not something you've thought about, think about it and contact them at lifetimeroofingla.com. They've got financing options available for 18 months. If you want to finance a deductible, they can do that as well. Lifetime workmanship warranty every single time at Lifetime Roofing. It's Baton Rouge based. Louisiana's home for them. You can trust them with your roof. It's lifetimeroofingla.com.